Hey guys, this is Zeddy, and coming to you with another video. I don't know when this is going to come out, if it's going to be close to the other videos I created, but I'm on vacation and I'm bored, and so I guess I'm looking for things to do, and this is one of them. As you guys remember, I did pick this up at a Goodwill. I had a very first look video earlier, and that was just to show off its condition and its status, how it works, if it's still working, and just gave you a tour around. Today I'm going to actually do a sound test. I'm going to use the same method I did for the RTM versus capture versus Max LUR comparison video I did. It feels like it was pretty successful, so I'm gonna try it again. But this is even harder because now I'm introducing another deck that is not in my stereo deck, so I had to find a way to add it in there. So I'm gonna try to rewind it to the same song, and then I'm gonna play it back on my RX 202. So it's not the most high-end deck, but it's a really nice deck, as you know. It's still a Nakamichi. Two reasons why I picked it. One is it's not the ZX7, because the ZX7 will probably be able to make everything sound good. But at the same time, these two are IEC1 standards, I guess, if you would call it. This is kind of sort of the Wild West, a little bit of the 70s of EQ standards and whatnot. So some of them diverged, but if they did adhere to any standards, it was the IEC1, and that's what the Nakamichis are also. At the time, that's what they decided on as well. Even when they were kind of in the 80s, they wanted to do their own thing. So, whereas newer decks like JVC, like this one right here, they're IEC2. Prague 1981, I believe. That's the standard. I don't remember all the names, but probably link it in the description below. But anyways, I'm talking too much. So let's hear what it sounds like. This one was recorded, by the way, on the ZX7. So at least we know that this has been recorded very well on a high-end deck. Okay. Counter, as you saw, wasn't counting, so I couldn't use that to couldn't use that to judge, you know, where the tape started and where the music ends. So. All right, so it's not a pre-recorded tape, but I'm going to consider this a pre-recorded tape test because it was pre-recorded by a known good deck. So the next test I want to try out is how well this thing records. So in this test, I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a tape, record something off of, you know, from a YouTube, you know, one of the libraries off my iPad into this guy. I'll record it, I'll play it back, and then of course I'll also play it back in the Nakamichi, because what I'm also interested in is if I were to record using this, can it actually sound better than the equipment's playback capabilities? In other words, can this record better than it plays back? Well, we're gonna find out. All right, guys, so I am going to now do a recording test. I already recorded a few seconds of silence at the beginning so that we're not at the very beginning of the tape. I'm using an old 70s, I don't know, this is like 78, 79, Maxell UD. This is the kind of cassette that you probably have for a deck of this era, which is made in 1974. And Nakamichi RX 202 is actually came out in like around 81, so not exactly the same era, I would want to say, but you know, what's a few years? So I'm going to play back something from the YouTube audio library, digital, you know, source from my actual iPad actually, and we'll see how this sounds. Okay, so since this is a 2-head deck, what you just heard was actually the source. So let's play this back. I'm gonna rewind this now. Fast forward a bit. Interesting. I don't know why, but it seems like when it was recording, it didn't record as hot, but then when you played back, it is way hotter. And that's the thing I generally experience with this particular deck. Don't know if it's just because of the nature of the meters. I've never actually owned a deck with analog meters like this, but it's very hard to ascertain the actual level. And I thought I had it right, but that is so weird. By the way, the limiter is actually not ALC, not automatic level control from what I thought it was. It still adheres to the level you adjust, but all it does is it makes sure it doesn't go past 0 dB. When it does, it tries to limit it automatically. And so what you end up with is a still really hot sounding source, but it clips it at around 0 dB. But it's a very soft clip, unlike the digital clip where it's very harsh and clipping. Wine is weird. All right, so let's now see how it sounds on this deck. All right, I am back now, and trying to connect up my computer to this whole stereo stack to record from. So apparently with this receiver, there's some limitations because there's only really one tape loop, 2 tape inputs, but 1 actual tape loop, meaning only one I can monitor, and that really messes things up. So thankfully for this guy right here, but I had to juggle some cables to get this working, so I got it working now. So without further ado, I'm gonna hit play on this, and let's see how this sounds. All right, that hopefully I captured that perfectly, and let's go back and compare, yeah? You can't tell without doing an A/B sound test, but there's definitely a reduction in high frequency with the Superscope. I still can't find anything online, but someone in the Tape Heads forums said the specs are 50 hertz to 11 kilohertz with type 1 tapes and 50 hertz to 11 kilohertz with type 2 tapes. So comparing the pre-recorded tape, I would say pre-recorded in quotes, there's a big chunk of the high frequency missing, but it still sounded pretty decent for a deck of its age. When comparing the playback of its recording, the RX202 seems to be able to eke out a bit more high end than the Superscope can play back, which means the Superscope recording ability is actually better than its playback ability. That's actually pretty mind-blowing. Who would have expected it can record better than it can play back? Still, there's still loss of the high end even when playing back on the RX202 when compared to the source. That's expected though. The CD-301 is the entry-level deck of the line, you know. There is a higher end model, which is the CD-302, and it adds Dolby noise reduction, which of course later is retroactively renamed Dolby B when Dolby C came out. They even have a CD-302A. That actually adds a pause button, but seeing some pictures of it, it's actually like an afterthought because it's not part of the transport piano keys, but it's actually a separate toggling button instead. The CD-301 MSRP at launch, I was told, was $139 in 1974. And the CD-302 was $50 more to add the Dolby NR feature. I think the 302A, which eventually replaced the standard 302, was a later revision, and they probably introduced that without a price range. I'm sure that's just, you know, the added pause button was probably negligible. But hey, that's what 1974 had to deal with, right? There are probably better tape decks out there that can produce, you know, higher top end, but they would have cost much more. $139 in 1974 is now $756 adjusted for inflation. And that's for the entry-level CD-301. So upgrade to the CD-302, which adds that Dolby noise reduction and maybe possibly even a pause button if you waited for the 302A revision. That would have set you back $189, $50 more for that feature. Now adjusted for inflation, that's $1,000, $1,028 to be exact. So $50, a big jump in price to gain just Dolby noise reduction and probably a bit more dynamic range because of it. I'm sure most customers didn't deem that was worth the price hike, you know? So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like watching my stuff, please hit the like button. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when I release a new video. I see the majority of my viewers aren't subscribed. I mean, I get it. Sometimes the YouTube recommendation feed shows videos that I want to watch, so I forget too. The problem is when the algorithm stops recommending me videos from a channel I like, and then I just thought they stopped making videos. Then maybe months later down the line, I would wonder, hey, what about this channel or that channel? then I go and search for that channel and realize there's a bunch of videos that I missed out because I didn't subscribe. But hey, either way, you do you. Catch you guys next time. Take care.